Saturday, June 8th, 2019. You're looking at the CONUS NextRad base reflectivity. And right now, apparently what we're seeing here through the southern and central plains is a bunch of ground clutter. During the day, there's a temperature reversion, which the radar beams are being reflected back down to the ground. So we're picking up a bunch of birds and bugs and all kinds of other stuff. That's sarcasm. But, this system here in the southeast has been sitting there since the other day. This is from the other day. I believe this system dropped quite a few tornadoes in Louisiana. You can see all this rapid evaporation. But back to what I was at on the radar, that's just sarcasm. What I was talking about, go to one of my videos. Someone decided to comment that the blue circles in the east and Midwest is ground clutter. It happens when Doppler radar waves are reflected to the ground, or a massive group of something like birds flying a path. So I wrote ground clutter every day, and they're all flying in the same direction, covering this country, flying throughout the night. Right? Temperature inversion. So I'm just being an ass here because I like being a smart ass anyway. So if I get some night vision goggles and look up at night, the entire sky will be filled with birds. And then I get into also, I'm sure that radar beams getting reflected down to the ground is really healthy for all of the living creatures in its path. Speaking of birds, have you ever heard of an entire flock of birds falling out of the sky with no signs of illness? Usually the story goes something like, scientists are baffled as to why hundreds of birds fell out of the sky, and then you never hear anything about it again. Right, and if one of those radars are in searchlight mode, see if I can catch that. Searchlight mode is typically when you see this beam, pencil beam. That's searchlight mode, and if it's focused in a area for more than 10 minutes, it can significantly heat that area of the atmosphere. And I'm sure, like, if a flock of birds were to fly through there, what would happen to them? Well, they're basically getting microwaved, and their blood would coagulate and they would drop dead out of the sky. Get some funky stuff going over in Nevada right now. I'm not quite sure what that is. And here coming off Colorado, we see storms blowing up, and on the Colorado-Kansas line, I believe this one just dropped a few tornadoes. Take a look here. Yeah, we got 3 there right now. Georgia right here is now currently under a warning, and Nebraska. What else do we want to look at? Oh yeah, here's the beginning of these storms. Just pumping up out of nowhere. Like, where are the water vapors coming from? Well, I'll tell you in a minute, but this is, like I said, this storm's just been sitting here. And it should have rained where I'm at in Western Maryland, but it did not rain. But it is calling for rain all day tomorrow and to Monday. Now they're not calling for it on Tuesday, thank goodness. Take a look at these storms. Look at the freaky deaky wave clouds, gravity wave clouds. So now we'll take a look at, that's the geo-collar image. Oh, I got all the power plants up on my Google Earth. Sorry, my dog was bothering me. But here is also got refineries up. And all these are equipped with, and we'll just find a random one, cooling tires and wet surface air coolers. Some of the older ones do not, but most of them do. Most of these have cooling towers and wet surface air coolers, which is this right here. Zoom back out, go to another one. I could go on for an hour, probably more than an hour. If it'll load. And then I have the blue dots, which are wind farms. And if you've checked out some of my previous videos, you know how they're part of this grid. All right. And then some of these little red dots are very important because these are geothermal plants. You can see they don't put out much energy, but they are equipped with wet surface air wet surface air coolers and cooling towers, which are capable of producing steam, hot, heated water vapor. Because that's important. I don't think people understand that. Because this is just not like your natural evaporation. The sun heats the surface and the water vapor goes up slowly. This is, you know what hot air does. Hot air rises. So what this creates and can create is what they call like updrafts, convection, so on and so forth. And I can just go on, like I said, for an hour. Now the major players in this are the coal fire plants, because when you burn coal, it puts off sulfate aerosols, and that is a great cloud seed. Where's the coolers here? All right, here. I don't really want to go on and on through this. I'm just giving you a few examples. Here we have 3 cooling towers. I'm sure there's wet surface air coolers nearby. I'm going to check out a couple refineries because a lot of people don't know about the refineries. Refineries are usually equipped with wet surface air coolers and cooling towers. And they, to me, are much bigger than the power plants because they just go on and on. I know this place has some somewhere. Usually by the water. Maybe not. But you get my point here. There's all these power plants. Okay. Also, what I have on here is paved poles, part of the space fence. See this big boy here? That's a big old radar. And then down here, what do we have? Here is a radar on a barge. Now there's 12 of these stationed throughout the Gulf of Mexico. They dispatch from England Air Force Base, and there's an Air Force Base in Jacksonville. So they're all through there. What else do I have on here? All. I don't know if you ever seen the videos of the NASA rocket test facilities that pump out, I mean, even more than the cooling towers, and I mean, it's just massive amounts for like 15, 20 minutes. Here's one of those test stations, and it just pumps out massive amounts of water vapor. And there is another one up here in Alabama. Where is it at? right there. And I believe there's one in Ohio and a couple in California. So that's about enough for that page. We'll go over to Jim Lee's Climate Viewer, and it's got all your EMF. These are all very well capable. The green is your next red Doppler radar. The red is joint surveillance. They're also like a radar dam. And then you have your BLF, your Twin Towers, your Super Dawn, which is the yellow square. And then the flags are part of the space fence. Now, not all of these are transmitters. Some of them are receivers. The blue dots are Dopplers for the coast. So that's just an example there of all the Dopplers. And then I have, we'll close out that, all these little red fiery looking things. These are all ground-based cloud seeding generators. Most of them are over the Rockies. I'm going to start working on mapping out Mexico's cloud seeding generators and wind farms. I've found a map of the wind farms, but not the cloud seeding generators yet. But here's one wind farm. Onwards. This is airplane, which the session's timed out, but this is the obvious one. There's 5,000 airplanes seeding clouds above your head at all times. Here is the marine traffic. These all pointed out time and time again. Over the northern Pacific, the lower stratus deck is usually comprised mostly of nothing but ship tracks. You can see them going away there. What else do I have? This one is of all the oil rigs out in the Gulf, which, you know, these could potentially have your wet surface air coolers and any kind of radar or ionizers, whatever on them. You know, the Gulf is wrecked after the BP oil spill. You know, all that oil and correxa cannot be good for the natural process of weather or the water cycle, evaporation, and precipitation, etc. Also have up one of Jim Lee's articles on China's weather modification system. Now, they're not so scared to tell people about what they're doing. And here's kind of a map. Like they don't care. So here's all your cloud seeding generators, and you have transmitters over here, transmitters here, and here's their target area to bring rain. But you know, when you look at that and then you go through the map that I've created here along with Jim's map and the maps that I don't have to make because someone was kind enough to do it for us. You put all that together, and what do you have? You have a weather modification or a climate engineering grid, and it's all run on and by a computer. Right? You got your numerical forecast models. You bet your sweet butt that all these planes and ships and the power plants are all running it in accordance or with the climate model. The GFS is the most likely the one, because I remember when I used to have cable television, I used to watch the Weather Channel a lot, and they'd be like, well, we always go off the GFS model because that's the one that has the most money invested in it. So you can bet all your planes and all that's flying to your GFS model. So, other than that, I hope I touched base, because some people don't want to believe this, that our climate there's nothing natural about it anymore. Nothing. It is completely destroyed. Climate change, I'd say it's a little more like maybe by this time climate collapse, and now it's this here, because that looks totally natural, doesn't it? Just explosions out of nowhere. Where in the hell is all this water vapor coming from? A lot of this is desert. They'll say, oh, it's getting sucked up from the Gulf. Yeah, sure. But anyways, that's my report. If you're local, expect rain all day tomorrow. And other than that, I hope you catch what I'm trying to put down. We will check back in at a later